when we talk about the growth impact, it's important to note that in the near term, the impact on the economy is not much about the impact of the tariff as much as it is due to the impact of the uncertainty on tariff. The constant flip-flop and the lack of any clear policy path risks impacting investment growth. Now, we have seen a fair amount of easing from the RBI through the lowering of rates, surplus liquidity, easing of the regulations. But the investment cycle depends more on the visibility of demand and easing of regulations rather than and a fair amount of policy stability, I should add, rather than only on the cost of capital. Also, with the slower global growth, and this is not just about India. I mean, US could be slowing down, and we'll get to know in a month or two how much that slowdown is. But what it risks is, from the India standpoint, that the services exports could be impacted, and the remittances which we receive from the non-resident Indians could also be impacted. And all of those
that's a very important point,
the growth prospects.
That being said, Suvodeep, if we do see a BTA materialise before the year is out, then can we upgrade our expectations towards the Indian economy and be more confident of growth in the region of 6.5%?
Well, surely. I mean, look, I would rather push it a bit more towards later half of FY26 and into FY27. But I think, I think I should qualify it by saying that, India is well aligned with the US from a geopolitical perspective. We have a pretty large dependence on imports of goods such as energy, defense, machinery, which all go well for a beneficial bilateral deal. It's also an opportunity for us to get inserted into the new supply chains or any kind of build out that might be happening, or in terms of the shifts away from shift in the productions away from China. And hence, I think it is a positive that we should be considering, but not in the near term. It doesn't play out in the near term as such, but definitely a positive that plays out in the medium term. But also, to capture this, you require a shift towards a more open economy with lower tariffs, a bit of a higher competition for the Indian corporates, and also policymakers at various levels to kind of deregulate, lower the overall cost of running a business. And that's how you gain the competitive advantage.
Suvodeep, despite the absence of a US India trade deal, it's been a pretty good week or two, hasn't it, in terms of either firm or intended and potential FDI commitments? We've heard from Tesla, we've heard from VinFast, we've heard from Flipkart returning to India. How would you characterise where that puts the FDI prospect over the next 6 to 12 months for India?
Well, that's definitely on the positive side because, as we see the world kind of now getting a bit of more rearrangement in terms of the trade flows, etc., I think the FDI flows will also get oriented a bit more towards India. India, historically has seen a good amount of flows. On a net basis, there has been a fair amount of weakness that has set in over the last couple of years. But with the markets where they are, probably the outflows would be now moderating. And hence, from an inflows perspective, the numbers would look much better. Certainly, the kind of trade deals that are due to happen, the kind of positivity that can come from a rearrangement of the trade flows will go a long way in kind of pushing towards that, higher FDI, more quality FDI coming into the Indian economy and probably sustain growth for a longer period of time than what we are currently experiencing.